Welcome to this event. It is really a great pleasure to have already so many people connected. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Veronica Cesco, and I work at the UN Office for Outer Space Affairs in Vienna. I would just to kind of introduce a bit the event. Before then, allow me to say that the event is being recorded and it will be available on our website, on our YouTube channel, and then also on our Space4Women website. If you'd like to just say hi, introduce yourself, and say where you're from, please feel free to write that in the chat. The mic and camera of the participants are not activated, but you can certainly write in the chat. And also, if you have any questions, you can ask them there. So before I give you a bit more context, I'd like just to mention that we will start, I'll start with a very short presentation. And then I will give the floor to our speakers who will talk to us about the work that they've been doing as participants in the Space4Women projects. And also one of the projects, one of the events my colleague Nina, who's on the line, has organized quite recently. I think, yes, that's it. So as you can see from the screen, I would like just to mention what we're talking about today and what we are part of. So as you know, on the 8th of March is the International Women's Day. And this year, the topic that was decided by the United Nations is digital innovation and technology for gender equality. And the Vienna-based organizations of the United Nations that are based in Vienna, you see them at the top, have decided to organize kind of a broader campaign to talk about how this theme is relevant for the mandates of our organizations. And this is why UNOOSA is organizing this specific event to talk about space innovation and technology for education and looking at what we do to implement our mandate in this specific topic. There is a series of panels that will happen between today and the 9th of March. If you're interested to learn more, go to our website and you can find the links to register to the events that are upcoming. That said, let's go ahead with our presentation. So I guess most of you know already that UNOOSA is the UN Office for Outer Space Affairs, and that Space4Women is a program of UNOOSA to advance gender equality in STEM and the space sector. I'll give a very brief overview about this, and then I'll give the floor to the speakers. Where are the women? I found this nice image. This is actually from UN Women. And this is clearly a nice way to show that, yeah, there aren't many. Because women represent only 1 out of 5 workers in the space industry. And of over 600 people that have traveled to space, only 11% have been women. So at UNOOSA, we have Space4Women, this project, as I was saying, dedicated to advancing and promoting gender equality, which facilitate access to the benefits of space exploration, science and technology, and to space and STEM education and careers for women and girls. And it also aims at empowering young women and girls to be the beneficiary of space solutions as well as active contributors. In terms of the project, we have 4 different elements. We have a portal, space4women.unoosa.org. We have a mentorship program. You'll hear more about this. It's the 3rd edition. This year, we have 95 mentors, 150 mentees from 65 countries. We also hold annual expert meetings, let's say conferences, these annual meetings since 2017. This last year, it happened in the Republic of Korea, and this year it will take place in Canada. And then there is a network, which is actually a part that was more active in the past. At the moment is a bit more silent and dormant, and it is a network of professionals, women professionals in the space sector. But I would say the portal, the mentorship, and the expert meetings are the really most active part of the program. And now with that, I'd like to give the floor to our speakers. We'll start first of all with Alessandra Abe Pacini and Patricia Cruz. Alessandra has been the mentor of Patricia, a mentee of the Space4Women Mentorship program, and we would like to hear from them, and also like afterwards from the other mentee and mentors, like how their relationship work, what were the good aspect of their relationship, what they did together, what was the impact and the results of the Space4Women Mentorship program. So I'll give the floor to them. You can now share the screen. We can see, perfect.
Okay, I just forgot to open my mic. Hello, everyone. Happy Women's Day. And thank you so much for the invitation. It's an honor to be here to speak a little bit of my experience and Patricia's experience in this program. I will do a quick overview here about my connection. Can you see my second slide? Just to know if I'm passing.
Yes.
Correct. Okay, thanks, Veronica. So I got connected to the network actually through another kind of event that is within my field of research. I'm a heliophysicist, so I work with space weather. And in 2017 August, I went to Boston to participate and attend this International Space Weather Initiative event that was a collaboration between NASA and UN. And there I present my my project, which was a new outreach project called Girls in Space, which were the books I wrote to connect girls to the topics and to show stories where the girls were protagonists and involving space topics. So you can see the books here. And during this meeting, I learned about the UNOOSA, and I learned about the events that they were planning related to women and to gender and gender equality and connected to the SDGs. And so I was invited to participate on the very first meeting that we discussed this platform, which was in October 2017. I invite you all to visit the Space4Women webpage. There is a background history there, very nice description. So I'm proud to say that I was part of the very early conversations of this platform. And I didn't attend in person this one because I was in Puerto Rico just after the Hurricane Maria, so I couldn't go, but I sent my presentation. And then in 2018, 2019, I was lucky to go and actually meet most of these women who were the first mentors and are still part of the mentorship and the network on the Space4Women. So in 2020, as Veronica mentioned, the platform was established, and I was happy to be named one of the first mentors. And since then, I've been working with my projects. My projects grew, and now I have a platform called Girls in Space 2030, which is connecting the books and planning activities around my books that are connected and supporting the 17 SDGs, but focus, of course, on the 4th, which is quality education, and 5, gender equality, which are the core of the Space4Women project. So here you see my description, which is in the website as a mentor. And I got some very cool connections because I wrote here that I am a scientist who likes art and who understands the role of art to build a better future. So just to give you a little overview of the mentees and the experience I'm having in the program, I started in 2020 with 2 mentees, and that year we didn't have applications formally. We recommended mentees at the beginning. So I got 2 mentees that I already knew, and they were scientists from different fields and in different moments in their career. One was and is an astrophysicist that works in Spain, but is Brazilian, just like me. I work in the United States. And the other one was Brazilian, working in Brazil. And they had two different visions and different questions related to gender. So I tried to develop with them projects that were addressing the questions they had. So the first project was a teacher's training using my books to bring this content to the schools and to the teachers. Patricia is going to explain that better because she was my first mentee, the astrophysicist that I mentioned here. And the second project was developing a guide practice book, how to support girls in space and how to support women in space. And the goal of that was to give some, flyer to the institutions and to our friends and release that on the internet with some very clear guidance to how to support girls and women in space. And that was very productive, the discussions we had. In the end, the second mentee became a mentor the year later in 2021. And in 2021, I had three mentees, and they were very different in backgrounds and very different also in culture. Was really amazing. And I left here on the corner for you to read what are the areas that the program focus on. And I'm happy to see that my actions and all the projects and the interactions I had were really addressing most of these points, from the communicating opportunities to really creating and offering this facilitating this path for them. So my vision as a mentor is really trying to understand the moment of that mentee's career and what are the expectations. And I think in the second year we got a very good guidance from the program about how to track that and map and facilitating this approach. The second year was a full year experience. The first year was just a few months that I had of mentor of those two mentees. And in the second year, we developed individually different projects. So for example, I had one mentee from Uganda that she was a space physicist PhD student. So for her, we focus on creating more networks. So I invited scientists from Brazil to have a meeting with her, and she present her results, which was very good for her to establish more connections, to discuss her results, and to with a better networking. The other one, she was already a space communicator. She's an engineer from Brazil. We worked together in a project with girls of 10 years old connected to a museum in Brazil. And she was focused on communication. So I mentored her in this area and I brought her to other connections that she didn't have. But a part of the mentorship, I also try to address the connections with institutions. For example, the projects that I develop are always supported by the Brazilian Space Agency. We did a book club with kids, directly with the kids, and then which was a 3 months experience. And also I post a lot of videos related to the Space4Women topics in my YouTube channel during these years. So I think for me, the program is always guiding my actions because I can understand better what is effective and discuss with the network how can we exchange, also participate in each other's project, which has been very rich for me. And I leave my last slide here is just showing the brochure of the program that is available on the website, where two of my first mentees gave some impression here of the program, and I was very happy to see the highlights in the brochure, and to say that how I see the mentorship is really an exchange experience. It's not a one-way street; it's a two-way street because interacting with early professionals or people in different moments in their career, and thinking together of how to overcome struggles or how to make more efficient their work and trying to connect them. I also win because I think better and I recognize myself in different moments of my career. So it's been very, very rich to guide my actions and to inspire me to go further as well. So I only have like good highlights to talk about this program. I'm happy to say I have two mentees this year, one from the United States. She's an undergrad student. And again, the focus with her will be to establish a path for her to continue in the space career and also to expand her network and to inspire her. We are having great interactions. And the second one is my first mentee that you are going to meet now, Patricia. Now she's already going from early to mid-career. She's still in Spain. And here in this picture, I put us graduating. So I know Patricia for more than 20 years since we were in undergrad, in college. And so thinking of revisiting our history, I can see that we have been always helping each other and exchanging experiences in a mentor way, but it's always a two-way street. So I will give the floor to her because she can explain what we did, and you will understand what I'm talking about. Pachi.
Thank you, Ale, and thank you for the invitation. I'm really, really happy to be here today with you. As Ale said, I'm an astrophysicist. We met during our, when we were getting our degree in physics in Mackenzie University in São Paulo, Brazil. And then, of course, we kept in touch, but we went our separate ways. She went pursuing her career in heliophysics, and then I went pursuing mine in astrophysics. And we always kept in touch, but we didn't work together until 2020. So I was always involved, and I am always involved in outreach projects. Today I'm here in Spain, based in Madrid. I'm working at the Center for Astrobiology in Madrid, and I'm part of the Spanish Virtual Observatory team. And along all this path, now I'm a postdoctoral researcher here, I always try to be involved in outreach projects because I think it's the way the scientists have to communicate their science, to make the community knows the importance that science have. All fields of sciences have in our lives. So I just want to highlight 3 projects that I was involved in, I'm still involved in, is APOD Brazil, which is the translation to Brazilian Portuguese of the astronomy picture of the day from NASA. I have an authorial, with a colleague, an author blog where we talk about astrophysics and astronomy, which is called AstroParsec. And I'm involved in this huge project for empowering women through science, which is called Astrominas. And it's from the University of São Paulo in Brazil, and I'm part of the coordination team. And back in 2020, I saw Ale on the social media talking about Space4Women and about the project, this marvelous program that we are now part of. And we, as a coordination from Astromina, invited her to give a talk during this course to inspire and to mention the work that she was developing to other girls, from high school, more or less, age. And that's when we got back together, and we were living in the pandemic. We were living this stressful period that was for everybody to be in the pandemic. And that's when we were shocked about this reality, this new reality that everybody was living. We discussed the effects the pandemic had in different environments. For instance, the impact in the education that it had, and how different country was living that in a different level. She's based in US. She's a mom. She knows how the pandemic affected her kids, and I'm a mom too. So I knew how the pandemic was affecting my kids here in Spain. But we also know how it was lived in a different way in Brazil, and how this community was being most affected. So we tried to get to a different, we tried to build a project to have an impact in Brazil and such difficult times. So next, please. Next slide. Yeah, so that's when the project was born. So this is the project called Girls in Space at School. So that's more or less the translation of the name. And we were trying to, it was a capacity building course. So we were aimed to train teachers, female teachers, in the space sciences, and how they could take this information and this knowledge to their students and inspire young women and girls to pursue careers in STEM, right? So, of course, to bridge that, to bring all these concepts that we are going to teach to classroom, we needed somebody that was in classroom, that was living that new reality of giving online classes without any training, without knowing how, because everything was just unnoticed. We didn't foresee that, right? So that's the part that was brilliantly done by Rafaela Lima, which was our third creator here of this amazing project. And of course, doing this whole creation, Alessandra mentioned that the project was following the principles of the Space4Women program and invited me to be her mentee, which I was completely happy about that, right? Maybe we can go to the next slide, please. The thing is that we needed to have a partner, of course, that knew e-learning, that had an e-learning platform, which we didn't know about. So we were just learning a lot of things. So it was a period that we learned a lot of new skills. One of them, for instance, was how to sell the project for this partner to help us engage with us in this pursuit, right? So we had with us Draxos, which is an enterprise in Brazil, which was a huge partner and helped us with this platform, and they had the know-how of e-learning. So we advertised the course in social media. We didn't expect the amount of applications that we got. We got over 400 applications, and we went through all of these applications one by one because we wanted to select a representative from each state from Brazil, because we wanted to reach all these different communities that we have in the country and with their different cultural backgrounds. And it was a really, really difficult choice to only have 28 teachers with us in this journey, but we were really happy to be able to cover all this area that you're seeing in the map from Brazil. So this is one of the, I think that's the most, the biggest reach that we could have. The course, of course, was aimed at teachers. So they were giving classes. They had this amazing overload of work. So we did during weekends and in a way that they could enjoy the time that they were having with us. And next slide, please. Just wanted to share that my personal aim was to be inspired, because the way that I get inspired is by trying to inspire other people. And the thing is that's the thing that I think that it's cycled in this project, because the feedback that we got from these amazing women that you're seeing here that were part of the program is that they were inspired by our program, and they now were feeling capable of inspiring their students. And this is the most beautiful thing that we had. So maybe next, please. Just I wanted to highlight quickly one of these comments that we got, and I'll quote here, this course gave me the motivation to bring space-related subjects to my female students and show them that they can be astronauts, scientists, or whatever they want to be, that they can aim higher and beyond. And this is unthinkable for a reality that they were living at that time in Brazil. Next slide, please. Another thing that was our deliverable was an ebook in PDF available for everybody who wants to know more. And this ebook was created by these amazing women that you're seeing here. And unfortunately, it's available only in Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, but it's online and free for everybody to make use of their outcome from the project. And my next and the last slide, please. I will leave you with this word cloud here, which is in Portuguese, because it was the outcome that they gave us. And I just wanted to highlight that my experience was amazing, but it was in 2020 really overwhelming in all senses. And of course, I experienced a burnt out. And that's, I think it was common for many realities for many people. And what my expectations from this year's program, as I'm also a mentee this year, is that, and I'm learning with Ale, is that I have to continue, because I want to continue these outreach programs, but I have to have them in a sustainable way. I mean, to incorporate them in my activities, in my research as citizen science, for instance, projects. And what I want to get, and I'm pretty sure that I will, from the network, from the program, is the exchange of experiences, because I think that our actions can empower ourselves and the community. And I think that this is the most important part of this program. And of course, I expand that this project to grow. And maybe in a future year, I could be a mentor of this program too. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Patricia. Thank you very much, Ale, as well. You could see when I turn on my camera, starts the pressure of finishing the presentation. We have no, but thank you so much for sharing your experience. Definitely a lot of interesting insights. Thank you again. And I'll give the floor now to Wumi and Adesola. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Veronica. Greetings from Nigeria. We would like to thank the organizers of this program for giving us the opportunity to share our Space4Women mentorship experience with this audience.
Okay. My name is Adesola Kindejoye. I'm a PhD student with the Flood Hazard Research Center, Middlesex University, London, where I'm currently doing a research on social vulnerability to coastal flooding. I joined the Space4Women Mentorship Program in June 2021 under the mentorship of Dr. Mrs. Omowumi Alabi. Before then, Dr. Alabi had been my lecturer at ASTI in 2016. So I've always known her. Then I was studying remote sensing and GIS at the university.
I met Adesola in 2016 when she was enrolled for the master's program of the United Nations affiliated African Regional Center for Space Science and Technology Education in English. That's where I work here in Nigeria. She registered for 2 courses I taught on the principles and environmental applications of remote sensing and GIS. And as an instructor, I observed that although she was one of the 2 female candidates in the class, she was a conscientious student and she had a probing mind. Assignments were always promptly done and with great care. Her diligence was rewarded with a grade A in each of the 2 courses. I was drawn to Adesola, who is not just a combination of brain and beauty, but she also had a passion for professional development. When I shared my concern with her about her written English and how this can impede her professional advancement, she readily agreed to enroll for private tuition in English, and she improved her grammar. The relationship between us was rekindled. Next slide, please. The relationship between us was rekindled in June 2021 when she was assigned to me as a mentee on the Space4Women Mentorship Program coordinated by UNOOSA. Our mentorship was structured as recommended by Space4Women, that is, setting goals for the mentees. That would be done by the mentees themselves. So Adesola identified our goals for the mentorship year, and she developed an annual plan. This plan was broken into smaller sub-goals attainable within a month. So what we did was we held a virtual meeting on Zoom during the first week of each month to evaluate her progress?
The mentorship program came at a very important part of my life because I needed a sense of guidance and direction. At this time, I was a banker, although I was well paid, but deep down within my mind, I did not have a sense of fulfillment because I knew I had so much in me to give out. So after enrolling in June 2021, after starting the mentorship program in June 2021, I was asked to set some goals. And above my priority list was getting enrolled for a PhD program. My mentor made it very clear to me that if I knew I wanted to enroll for a PhD program, I had to go and read some journals. Then I had to proceed, then read some journal. Then I discovered my present PhD supervisor. She guided me on how to send messages to him and even how to respond to messages professionally. And then by December 2021, I had 4 different PhD admissions in both Nigeria and the UK. Also, apart from identifying my goals, this mentorship program also enabled me to have access to a role model. May I say that Dr. Mawumi Alabi has been my lecturer, so I knew that she was someone who had so much in her. She was volunteering her time and her efforts for me. And I know that I had so much to learn from her. So I kind of made up my mind to work so much on myself so I could make good ends out of it. Challenges were inevitable during this process. I could remember that even at this time, I had an issue, even an early stage researcher, I had issues going back to, after I had been admitted December 2021, I was supposed to enroll for an interview with the university, and the interview did not go well. It did not really go well, and I felt really downcasted. But my mentor told me that I should never accept failure, anything. If I were on my own, I would not have proceeded because, I failed an interview. But because of her experience and guidance, I was able to re-enroll for another interview with the school administrator. And because I learned from my mistake, I moved forward, and the interview was a success. I was so convincing because I had so much confidence than I had before then. Also, so far, part of what I think supported our relationship was the fact that I had trust in the person who was guiding me. My mentor was someone who I'd always respected and admired. And I knew she had so much to offer to me. So whatever advice she was giving to me, I was taking every bit of it. Also, we were both very committed to it because my quest, my goals, my milestone I had to attain were like hers. And sometimes, because she has a very, very busy schedule, sometimes would meet around 10 p.m. in the middle of the night for meetings, because either because I have a presentation the next day or because I have a conference to make, a conference. Might be because I have a major milestone. My progress was our progress, and she was making every bit of it easier for me. And we also had very honest conversations. And to be honest with you, it was not very easy at first because she was someone that is very strict, and I knew that right from the very onset. But as time goes on, I got to realize she's not as really as strict as it was back then. because she was someone who was not judgmental. So it became more easier for me to explain my challenges to her, and she guided me to the right path, because also she was a very good listener. At the beginning of the mentorship program, there were ground rules for us. And that includes, for me, making sure that every task in which I set for the month, I make sure I complete them without excuses. And this made me to be very sure of what I was doing, because I know that whenever it is, I don't meet up with my tasks, I get scolded for it. And because I knew she was someone who was with integrity and discipline, getting a negative feedback would make me feel bad. So I had to make sure I was on my toes and prepare for each meeting. Also, part of what we had then during the initial the interview and the initial meeting was to make sure that in every meeting we set the next date in the current meeting we set the next date, so we don't actually have to say, okay, there's a change of date during the interview, and so on and so on. It has been a very nice experience for both of us. And the fact that she's flexible, I'm flexible, and we are both open for, I'm willing to listen to corrections. 2 months ago, we released our first paper together, and we worked on water shared morphometrics in a southwestern Nigerian basin, where we used total ranking technique that was released in December. And more recently, we both joined an international research group, and we hope to do more research together in the nearest future. Joining the Space4 Mentorship program, for me, it's been very, very achieving for me, because I believe it's the reason where I am today. If the mentorship program did not come at the time it came, I might probably still be in the banking system, feeling so downcasted and not feeling fulfilled. But I believe being enrolled in the Space4 Mentorship program has helped me to identify and overcome my challenges. That's also helped me to expand my network in terms of meeting well-recognized people in my field of studies. And of course, my confidence has grown from the way it used to be.
So if I were to say something about the impact of my participation in the UNOOSA Space4Women activities, I would say that even though me and Adesola had met before, the Space4Women Mentorship Program created the ideal platform that enabled me to contribute to the professional development of Adesola, who I know is a future female leader in the African space arena.
The Space4Women Mentorship Program has made it possible for me to realize my goals to enroll in a prestigious university abroad, and also to not just enroll, but be in a doctoral program within the space industry, and to begin my career into academia, which I'm so determined to make visible impacts. Thank you so much for listening.
We're done, Veronica. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. It's really inspiring to hear like your experience. I'm really happy you had such an experience. And for those mentors and mentees who are, online, I would like to just show you, I think you saw how different the mentorship relationship can be structured and what are the results, the impact. So I really hope you feel also inspired and for your relationship. Thank you again. Now we go to our next speaker. We have with us Nivi van Lanningham. Nivi was one of the participants of the Space4Women Expert that the office organized with the Republic of Korea in August last year. And the event gathered around 70 people coming from 30 countries. I'd say mainly women, if not all of them. And we were together discussing different topics, primarily space education, female entrepreneurship, and measuring the impact of gender empowerment activities, as well as measuring the participation of women in the space workforce. Before I give the floor to Nivi, I'd like to share like a short video about the event, just really briefly to show a bit of what we did. I hope you can see it actually. I don't think you saw it. Okay.
It is essential that we go into the future without leaving 50% of the population behind. All girls and women should benefit from and actively contribute to space science, technology, and exploration.
Well, I hope you enjoyed. I guess you could get a bit of the vibe and the energy. Well, we have 17 minutes left and we have two presentations. I hope you can stay like a couple of minutes in case we overrun. Nivi, I'll give you the floor and I'll actually share my screen for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you again while Veronica's putting my slide down. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, USADS. Thank you, Veronica. And thank you again for all the mentors who just shared the stories, a very inspiring story. And so my presentation is going to take a bit on a side step, a little bit different from the mentorship. So as you know, I am representing the US government. I work at the United States Department of State. So my take on the issue of Women for Space is a little bit different. Thank you. Next slide, Veronica. So when Veronica reached out to me several weeks ago and asked me to speak, I was so excited, but I was also in a stage of fog to how exactly I can combine my experience with Korea and the UNOOSA and how to project the future vision for space for women. So I started with this shocking realization. As most of you should be very familiar with this number. The prediction from the global genders gap report by did a research. I think it's from the World Economic Forum, and that it will take another 135.6. I don't know what that means, 0.6, maybe 6 months, it may be 6 years. 135.6 years in order to close the gap. So doing the calculations, most of us who are here right now joining at this forum will not be there to witness this 135.6 year of closing the gap. And so I started my thinking, so that's where we're gonna start from. How do we women or globally citizen to help moving this forward or fasten it if you called it. Thank you. Next slide. So what is my experience in Korea? Space4Women, and I will tell you later if we have time the story how I came about joining the Korean entourage talking about gender inequality. In my observation, attending the Space4Women in Korea, I realized there is two different topics that we need to really realize. We do have a commonality, and the commonality that is gender inequality, and that's why we have Space4Women, right? And the amazing commonality now that UNOOSA have actually focus on Space4Women, and that is an amazing, and I cannot tell you how amazing, Natasha and Veronica, that you both working on this forum. It is an amazing forum. It's a global forum. It's a non-political forum. I have to raise, and it really opened up a lot of doors internationally for women across the globe. So it's an important organization. So these are the two comments that we have: gender inequality, and we have UNOOSA as a forum, right? The rest I want us to concentrate. Yes, the difference is that we have for challenging. Although we have the culture challenge, we have the religion as all listed here, but it's spelled out differently. You know, Veronica's cultural challenges is going to be very different from my cultural differences. It's going to be very different from the Koreans' woman cultural challenges. It's going to be very different from the Nigeria cultural challenges. So I wanted to raise these points. You know, we have a commonality, we have a cause to close the gap of inequality, but please do not overlook these different challenges, because they are I think the elephant in the room that we need to recognize, right? And let's go down the list. It's spelled out. It is very logical and common to say, okay, we have cultural differences. So let me give you an example when I observed in the Korean forum. In the room, in my group anyway, we had Asians, of course, we have Asian, we have European, and we have Latin America and African representative in the room. And as a cultural anthropologist background, I observe how they all express differently. You know, where I had a colleague from Venezuela and Colombia. I mean, she was very expressive, very outgoing, very, you know, have no problem expressing herself. And then I started to observe the Korean ladies in the room, and they are very timid in the way they express themselves. And so that is something that we all need to be aware of, how we come together and how we do these challenges. And then governance, different government, right? You have democracy, you have dictatorship, you have military, you have socialists. All these things come into play when we talk about challenges, and so please keep that in mind. And then legislation is one of them that I'm thinking of. You know, do you have law or rules in your country to protect these women when they speak out of inequality? Thank you. Next slide. So lesson learned. There's many lessons learned that I took out from the woman Space4Women in Korea. One of the things I think to say, accept the obvious. And let me give you an example. At the end of the session, I think we have like a 3 days session, right, Veronica? I was there longer because of the hackathon, but when we looked around the room, we realized that it was all women, right? And then so we all said to ourselves, you know, we needed some men to be in this room. I feel that please accept the obvious. At some point, you're going to realize it's a woman issue and woman needs to help women. It's great to have men there, but at the same time, I think we as women can also move mountains without men, right? You can do your advocacy of inequality at home, in school and all this, but at the end of the day, really have to accept the obvious and then move it with it. And I think that's the biggest realization for me. Whole icebreaker session at the end of each day. That is something, and I spoke to Veronica and other founder. It's a very important issue. And this is, I think, it's defined as a woman culture. We women need this, you know. An example in Korea, again, at the end of the session, at the end of a forum, I think we allotted about 15 minutes to kind of touch base, what we learned, what we didn't learn, and give kind of feedback. It turned out to be almost an hour. I think Veronica was the one who moderated, and she could talk to you about more of that. It become a very touchy-feely session because most of these women in the Asia Pacific, which I work in, all suddenly realized that this is a safe forum, a safe place for them to kind of air out what they have been they going through and challenging in culture, in the workplace. So it become a much more than an icebreaker. So my recommendation to you and UNOOSA, and also for me, who going around Asia Pacific doing this, to really slot an appropriate and recognized time for us to kind of air out each day. And again, lesson learned, keep on carrying the discussion like we are doing now. I think it's very important for these programs to continue and also become your own advocates. Next. The game changers. A lot of these that I list here, I'm not going to go through them much. The mentors already share some of these activities that they are doing. You know, you might think that what can you do? You can't do much, right? It's wrong. You can do a lot. Whether you live in a small village, whether you live in a town, whether you live in a city, you know, you can do as a camp counselor, you can talk about this issue in camp. You can talk this issue in the school, elementary school, you know, middle school, whatever. You know, and create a regional and international support. Start with UNOOSA. You already now have UNOOSA as the umbrella. You know, having hold this meeting in Korea, it also automatically create an international group of support, and then you can yourself also can create regional support. I advise to establish professional advisory board so that you know how legally you can hold a forum or holding a meeting together without a concern of safety. That is something that I learned. And again, I just wanted to tell the audience my focus and my mind. I'm coming from a government entity, so this is my thinking of, you know, safety, legislations, group support, and all these things. And this is very important. And these are the things that you can do. And also contribution, you know, as a government worker, when I do a bilateral or multilateral in different country in Asia Pacific, I also feel that I have the obligation to continue on the conversation of women in STEM on Space for Women. And that's all I have. And my next slide is thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm happy to answer any question. I was hoping to have pictures of the Korean group together, but then for those of you all know, my adopted Korean son, Antonio, thought that he rather put his mother's pictures on there. Thank you very much. Wow.
Thank you very much, Nidhi. Thank you. And indeed, there were clearly like a lot of interesting and I'd say also emotional moments. Now, yeah, actually it's 3 minutes left, but I would really encourage you all to stay a bit more. And if you cannot, anyway, we will put the recording on YouTube. But I think it will be very interesting to hear from my colleague, Nina Kickinger, more about the workshop, the participatory workshop she organized. And yeah, if you have any questions, maybe put them in the chat. I'm not sure we will be able to reply, but for in the meantime, just thank you a lot for those who joined, but do stay with us a bit more if you can.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nina Kickinger. I work in the space applications section of the UN Office for Outer Space Affairs, and I'm going to make it quick, but I'm sure to highlight the best bits of that workshop because I do think it's a great example of empowering women. I hope I'll not promise too much now and achieve that, but that is the aim. So I'll briefly talk about the Space4Water project just to give you some context of the work that I do and the workshop. I'll mention things like the participants and some of the, like how it went and our outcomes in the end and the way ahead. So the Space4Water project is built on an agreement with the Prince Sultan bin Abdulaziz International Prize for Water. That's a scientific award for researchers in the fields of water. And since 2018, we've launched a Space4Water portal in 2018, and the project has been running since. And this workshop that we hosted was part of the conference series that we have on using space technologies for water management. That's the third pillar. We also have the Space4Water portal and community building efforts to connect the actors so that a community of practice can come into place. Now I'll speak about the workshop, and I put some photos here so you can see the ladies. The workshop invited 7 ladies, Indigenous women, to come to Vienna to the VIC. It was hosted on the 26th of October last year. 6 made it. And they were coming from diverse communities from all over the world. We had a lady from a Samburu tribe in Kenya. We had a lady who is of Maya origin. We had a lady whose tribe is Ayuk in Mexico. Then we had a participant from New Zealand who's of Maori descent, and a lady from Canada who's from the Mixti crew, First Nation, and then we had an anthropologist who studies the Korean sand matters, but she's also of Zulu origin. And here you see the ladies had fun during the workshop, and how it went was that I asked them a few questions to think about how they relate to the environment and how they relate to water and to space and to technology. And then it was very interactive. We discussed and learned from each other, from each other's experiences, and also empowered each other, I think. What was interesting about this workshop for me was that they were very quick to pick up this light presentation I gave to them about the potential of space-based technologies and what you can do with these technologies if you apply them for water management issues or ecosystem preservation related to water. And they were so quick to pick those up. They're all curious about space. Space has, in their traditional communities and beliefs, a rather spiritual connotation, but they're really open to apply space-based technologies and learn more about it. And so just like an hour after I presented to them overall areas of how you could apply space technology to assess water, they pointed out, when they spoke about their challenges, they already pointed out what they would like to do with it. So I thought that was powerful. In the end, they voiced challenges that they observe in relation to water, and then we try to get them to a problem definition that can be addressed by using technology. And that's my aim now. I don't know why I can't change the slide. Now. So what I did with the results, with the output of the workshop, was that I created a new feature on the Space4Water portal that is launched now. Actually, the aim was to launch it on the 8th of March, but I just brought it live now, so you can scan that QR code and have a look. The ladies are featured with a profile page that you see on the right-hand side here, and they shared information on water-related challenges. So that means they shared what they struggle with, what they observe, how the environment is changing, and what concerns them. And we published that on the portal. You see the submitted challenges on the left-hand side of the profile page, and you can click on them, and then you get a short description. And what we want to do with this is that we would like to bring that to our stakeholder meetings, where people dealing with space-based technologies for water, but in very different fields of applications, come to meet and exchange. And actually, I did very lightly indicate that there are challenges that are faced by Indigenous communities, such as, in case you're interested, women still walk 20 kilometers to collect water. In Kenya, in some places, for instance, the Samburu tribe. That's a disaster. In South Africa, water is polluted from mining, and the quality is just not sufficient. In Canada, there is tar sands, pollution, and lack of water, which means lack of ice to travel on winter. So people cannot visit their community members anymore. And the list goes on. It was really sad, actually, to listen to all the problems they observed. But my aim is to bring them to the portal and to the stakeholders, to the actors in the space sector who potentially already have partial solutions to this, and then introduce them and connect them and make them have a say about their water futures and all of our water futures. And this is now a page where you can see on the left-hand side of the slide, you can see these challenges are posted, and those are the listed teasers. On the right-hand side, you see once in the middle here, you see an example challenge description with an ID, so you can reference it and the description and the venue. And then on the very right-hand side, what has this rose color background, that's like a draft space-based solution. It's not been published, that's why it's in rose color. So you can find collaborators who can help you address the issue, and then you can reference also to other knowledge resources on the portal that can be parts of the solutions. With that, we want to inspire other actors to also implement similar solutions. So yeah, apart from bringing these challenges to the stakeholder community, we're also thinking of hosting a hackathon. That's future music, but we have it in the back of our heads, and we're considering the options for that. so that these challenges of the ladies are really addressed. The feedback from these Indigenous women was very positive. What they shared is that they felt heard and included, which is not always the case. They are often brought to forums, but then the decisions are taken upon them. And yeah, they would like to do longer workshops. That was the feedback. I would like to thank you now. Here are my contact details in case you want to learn more. And Veronica is going to share a 1-minute video with you, which is a statement of these 6 powerful ladies to the world. Thank you.
Clean water is an everyday need. Access to clean water is a right.
We need to be empowered to care for our waterways. Our knowledge needs recognition in science and policy making about water management.
Agriculture and use water in San Jose Poque.
And girls walk long distances to search for water for domestic use. We need to reduce the distance from 20 kilometers to 5 kilometers, which is manageable.
We need to be included in decisions that impact us.
Recognize and respect Indigenous women's knowledge about water care, protection, and management.
Great, thank you so much, Nina. I don't know if you have one last comment.
I'll let the ladies have the last word, I think. That's all from my side, unless you have questions, and I'm happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Nina. This is also very inspiring, honestly. And yeah, I would just say, like, in this way we can really like provide some knowledge, and also in your case connecting these women to other experts in the space community to support and advance gender equality and support them finding solutions. So thank you so much for that. Now, I know it's already 3:08, so I understand that people might need to go, including our speakers. I didn't see any questions in the chat, so I would say that maybe we could actually close the meeting, the event. Allow me just maybe to conclude saying that we definitely saw, and I'll invite also the speakers to turn on their cameras. We saw how like we can make education more inclusive through space technology, STEM, education with our first presentation, and then looking really at the different how these mentorships, mentoring relationship can be established, the participation of to the expert meeting, and then in the end this workshop with women from Indigenous communities. So thank you so much to all of you. It's been really inspiring. I hope we can repeat this in the future and hear more from the work that you're actually doing. Allow me to add a few more things. On the 8th of March, we will have another Space4Women event. This is like a different type of event. It will be a panel. We will have different speakers. Go to our website to learn a bit more. Registration is open, will be open until the very end. And I'd like again to just mention the fact that this Space4Women event has been organized within the framework of the International Women's Day theme, Digital Innovation and Technology for Education. And this is part of a broader effort of the Vienna-based international organizations to work to support gender equality on this specific topic. If you're interested to attend their sessions, you can also go to the website, which I posted earlier, and register to attend them next week. With this, I think that's it. I see a lot of thanks in the chat. Unless you have, like our speakers have a final comment, I would say we can close the meeting. And thank you so much for this event. and participating.